And we're back, folks. Nothing is more satisfying than watching entitled people get put in their place by the long arm of the law. So get your popcorn ready, folks, because today we're bringing out the Uno reverse card and taking a look at 3 Karens who got themselves arrested. This is Deborah, your textbook Florida Karen, who quickly escalates a simple traffic stop into a full-blown soap opera. Spoiler alert, this is not her finest hour.
Yeah, I am nowhere near you.
You're choking me, you
Can you please open your mouth for me so I can make sure you don't have to
Please
think?
open your mouth and shut the up. You get out of me, you mother Debbie. I will kill you.
It all starts like your average routine traffic stop. Deputies pull Deborah over after multiple 911 calls report a red car driving erratically. The calm professional officer approaches the car, giving her the benefit of the doubt. But Deborah? She has other plans. Almost instantly, she's defensive, claiming there's no issue with her driving.
Hello.
Sorry.
For what? Are you okay?
Huh?
All right. We got a call about your driving, that you were having problems staying in the lane. So, and I thought it was weird that you kind of like put your turn signal on and you took a while to figure out where you're going, and then when you made the left, you made this really wide turn. You okay?
The deputies remain patient. They ask her to step out of the car to assess the situation, a typical request when investigating suspected DUI. Deborah's response? Flat-out refusal. The moment the officers try to move forward with a sobriety test, she drops a line that would make any cop roll their eyes. She wants to call Rick, the sheriff. That's right, folks. She thinks she has the sheriff on speed dial, ready to rescue her from the law. Flawless logic, right?
Because you were about to take off on me and you are now lawfully detained. So please step out of the vehicle.
What's that? Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Ma'am, please step out. No. No?
So either, listen, step out of the car. I'm giving you a lawful order to step out of the car.
Then I want to record everything.
We're recording too.
I will record.
We're recording.
Then I will record everything.
Now, it would be funny if it stopped there. But oh no, Deborah is just warming up. As the deputies move to detain her, she pulls out the breast cancer card, claiming she's in the middle of chemotherapy. Unfortunately, she doesn't seem to grasp that breast cancer, while serious, doesn't make you immune to DUIs or following lawful orders. By this point, the deputies must have seen it all, and it's an uphill battle as they try to get her to cooperate.
Breast cancer. I just had my 3rd treatment of breast cancer. And these people have stopped me.
Okay, so
You think that's cool?
well, based on the fact that several people called in that they were concerned about your driving and how you almost hit them.
I understand.
Okay, so my next question to you is,
Deborah's response? Resistance, kicking, and biting like she's auditioning for the latest zombie apocalypse movie. This was the moment when any remaining sympathy left the building. She's now not only refusing to follow basic instructions but physically assaulting the officers.
we're recording too.
She acts like she don't want to be, like she got back.
I know you did not, ma'am.
Listen, all right, we're done
You got
here.
my license?
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
The suspect's attempt to snatch her license back from deputies earns her a fast pass into handcuffs. Let's see how that goes for her.
Nope. Not because this is not going to end well for you.
Are you kidding me?
No, we are not kidding you.
Give me my phone.
Can you let them know what?
Give me my phone.
6101 Work Code 5. We'll have one in custody.
Next comes the claim that an officer is choking her. Despite the body cam footage showing nothing of the sort, Deborah's grasp on reality seems to be slipping as fast as her chances of walking away from this scot-free. At this point, she's lashing out verbally too, spewing racially charged comments, as if the deputies needed any more reason to get her into custody.
Then I'm allowed that I'm allowed to be picked up. Where's my, where am I? 13 boyfriend, where am I? Where am I?
You're in the parking lot of Ocean Gardens.
Yeah, 14 minutes. Where the f are you?
I'm standing right here next to you.
Yeah, oh, aren't you so proud? Jesus Christ. Hey, this is your life.
Once she's finally out of the car and being escorted to the station, Deborah doubles down on the drama. In an Oscar-worthy performance, she suddenly claims she can't breathe, a classic move we've seen from more than one spoiled individual who's just realized things aren't going their way. The deputies, still professional as ever, call an ambulance just to be sure. But spoiler alert, she was fine.
Get this off of me! Get this off of me!
No.
No! You're hurt! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I'm telling you, I cannot breathe!
Do you need an ambulance?
I need an ambulance!
6211.
She's hurt me! She's hurt me! She's hurt me!
6211. Can you roll rescue
Oh, dear
20
God,
our way?
please, she's hurt
Reference.
me.
Our arrestee is unable to breathe.
At this point, it's hard not to feel for the deputies. They're doing everything by the book, yet they're dealing with a woman who's determined to throw every trick in the hat at them. It's the entitlement for me. Deborah goes from claiming she knows the sheriff to playing the victim card repeatedly, then switching up her excuses like she's testing out which one might stick. And yeah, none of them work.
So I can breathe.
So what we're going to do is we're going to turn you on your side.
The footage also shows deputies searching her car, where they find, surprise, multiple bottles of wine. 2 empty, 1 half full, and 1 open. So much for, I wasn't drinking. The evidence piles up against her, and yet Deborah continues with the same entitled attitude, acting as if she's being wrong.
No top. Are they still full? Yeah, no top in the back.
Did you see that? Let's rewind. Deputies find an open bottle of wine in Deborah's car, but that's not all.
Hey, we got more wine here, but it's not open.
Investigators find a full bottle of wine and a completely empty bottle in the front seat of our suspect's car. Before all is said and done, deputies
Then comes one of the most absurd moments in this already outrageous situation. After biting a deputy, she has the nerve to demand an interpreter, claiming she doesn't speak English. I mean, the woman was practically narrating her life story in perfect English just moments before. But now, in a desperate attempt to stall, she suddenly forgets how to communicate. Classic.
If you refuse to take the test, I have sit down.
You didn't tell me to sit down.
all before suddenly forgetting how to speak English.
How do I know English? I don't speak English. I request a interpreter right now. And if I am denied an interpreter, I will be
Let's not forget her final act, refusing to take off her jewelry before going into the jail. At this point, it's clear Deborah Odom believes she's above the law, or at the very least, above following basic procedures. But the deputies are patient, almost to a fault, as they calmly try to get her through processing.
It's not gonna happen. Listen, we don't want to use force. We need to put it in the chair. Sit down.
Right there.
Stop!
Relax.
Stop hurting me!
Oh, here we go.
This whole encounter is a prime example of what happens when entitlement hits a brick wall. Deborah clearly thought she could talk or tantrum her way out of trouble, whether it was invoking breast cancer, trying to name-drop the sheriff, or throwing a racially charged fit. She pulled out every stop. Unfortunately for her, none of it worked, and now she's facing charges that include DUI, resisting arrest, and battery on a law enforcement officer.
Stop hurting me! Why are you hurting me? Miss Debbie, we talked about this. My baby! All right, Miss Debbie, we talked about this, right? Stop it!
The law doesn't play favorites, kids. No matter how cool your Range Rover is, how many bottles of wine you drink, or how many sheriffs you think are on your side. So don't drink and drive. Don't assault officers. And, for the love of all that is lawful, don't be a Deborah.
Get off of me! 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 Debbie. Get off of me! Debbie. You motherfucker. You get off. That's my mother. You get off of me, you motherfucker.
On the afternoon of July 23rd, a chaotic scene unfolded in Alliance, Ohio, when police responded to a call about a woman preventing a man from filing a report. That woman was Kayla Ryder, and she wasn't about to go down without stirring up some serious drama. What began as a simple response to a complaint quickly escalated into an unbelievable chase, a couple of damaged cop cars, and an intense tasing.
Get out of the car! Get on your belt, taser! Get on your belly!
So, it's about 6:12 p.m. Police arrive, and right off the bat, Ryder isn't playing nice. She refuses to roll down her window. The officers give her multiple chances, but she isn't having it. She even throws in a few bold statements like, "You're not touching me." Spoiled much? The standoff begins with Ryder trying to control the situation, clearly not realizing she's up against officers who aren't there for her games.
You can roll the window down or I can pull you out. It's up to you. Roll your window down or I'm gonna pull you out. Roll your window down or I'm Roll your window down. If you don't okay.
At one point, an officer has to explain to her sister, who showed up to make things worse, that Kayla is a grown woman and her actions are the only reason she's in this mess. The sister even tries to interfere, and the cop isn't having any of it, warning her that she's about to take a ride to jail too if she doesn't back off.
This isn't your business. You go over there or you'll go to jail too. Go over there, you're going to jail too.
But Ryder doesn't care about warnings. She's too busy panicking, telling anyone who will listen that the officers already beat her a week ago. According to her, she's just here to protect her son from his dad, who she claims has been trying to take her kid. She rants about blocked phone numbers and custody issues, pulling a whole soap opera in the middle of the parking lot. You'd almost feel bad for her, right until she backs into one police cruiser and then smashes head-on into another.
No! 48 headquarters, she's trying to take off. We got a pursuit. She almost just struck Olivia.
Now, at this point, it's not just a regular police call anymore. Ryder has kicked things into high gear by ramming into two cruisers. The officers immediately try to stop her, but she's still inside her car, causing all kinds of chaos. So, what do the cops do? They pull out the taser. Zap! Ryder gets hit with the first shock, and the entire energy of the situation shifts. It's not just about a police report anymore. It's a full-blown disaster with Ryder shouting, resisting, and, as you'd expect, completely ignoring every command from the officers.
Get on your belly! Get on your belly! Taser! Taser! Get on your belly!
Oh, no!
Taser!
But wait, it gets even wilder. After the first taser shock, Ryder, while writhing in pain, makes this weird deal with the officers. She promises to let them remove her handcuffs if they agree not to taser her again. I mean, the audacity. Who the hell does she think she is? She also pulls out the classic therapist and doctor card, claiming she spoke to both and insisting she's got some serious issues the officers need to address right away. At this point, it's hard to tell if Ryder's delusional or just really determined to keep this circus act going.
If you can't afford to hire one, won't be provided for you. You have the right to stop and answer your question anytime.
Don't you try anything.
Give me my medicine!
No.
No! Oh my god! No! Let go! You're allowing them to break my...
Oh, and then there's the part where Ryder says the cops busted her face during a previous encounter. She's adamant that these officers are the bad guys in this situation, constantly throwing in accusations about how poorly they've treated her. Whether true or not, this attempt to paint herself as the victim doesn't change the fact that she's just rammed into two police cars and nearly hit an officer. The consequences of her actions are now catching up, and fast.
You piece of shit! My hand's gonna break again!
Well,
Get away!
life's choices.
So, are you kidding me? Get the f*** away, sicko!
The scene is intense as officers secure Ryder in the patrol car, where she continuously shouts about her phone, her money, and her medications. She's worried about all the wrong things at this point, still focused on what she thinks she's owed rather than facing the reality of her situation. Ryder's taken to the hospital for medical clearance because, well, getting tasered tends to require some follow-up care. Even then, she's still making demands and yelling at the cops, calling them abusers and even throwing some colorful language their way.
You're a female. So to say she's sorry for hitting your car.
Please don't me for me. They think I'm on drugs and I'm not. I literally
Hold, hey.
I am.
Listen, hold still. I have sharp in my hand. I don't want to get poked, and I don't want you to get poked.
Yeah, they want me to get in trouble. They set me up. I was on the phone with the sheriff. You guys knew what you were doing this whole time.
Don't move. Okay?
They busted my.
Now, let's talk about the charges. Kayla Ryder faces an impressive list of accusations: assault, obstructing official business, OVI, operating a vehicle while impaired, resisting arrest, and unlawful restraint. It's like she hit the jackpot of bad decisions. Assault alone could land her in deep trouble, but add resisting arrest and the whole vehicular mess she caused, and it's clear she's going to need one heck of a defense team.
Okay, hang tight.
Do you want me to fix your dress?
Why did you do this?
Well, why'd you run me over?
I did not.
Would you like me to fix your dress or no? I will fix your dress for you.
If you would, but I don't want I want my son.
Okay, well right now, we're not worried about your son. We're worried about making sure.
I already talked to my therapist today and my doctors from the place. So why can't there was you guys can't do anything when I'm not there.
With Kayla still going off in the back of the police cruiser, the drama is still far from over. She's made a series of terrible choices, all of which led to this chaotic situation. Her story might tug at some heartstrings. Single mom fighting to keep her son, but the way she handled things turned it from a custody issue into a public safety nightmare.
Even there, I want my son. You can't just take my son and my cat from me.
Right now, I mean, you're going to jail. You know that, right?
Why? Because you guys did this.
You did that. I'm pretty sure you did that. You were into my cruiser.
Quit trying to turn this around on me.
Ultimately, Ryder's case is still open at the time of this video, but one thing's for sure, she's facing serious consequences for that evening in Alliance, Ohio. If you're wondering how to avoid this level of chaos, here's a simple tip: don't ram into cop cars, and definitely don't try to negotiate your way out of handcuffs after getting tasered. Ryder's arrest will likely be one for the books in this small Ohio town, serving as a reminder of how quickly a bad situation can spiral completely out of control.
All right, ma'am, this is what's going to happen, okay? I understand. You're not listening. That's why you don't know. And maybe you don't understand. You ran into her cruiser. You're going to jail tonight. You're not having any contact with anyone else. You're not making any phone calls until you get to the jail.
So it's still out here free too.
Yeah.
She said that.
Yeah, you're going to jail. So you're going to the hospital for. Listen, you're going to the hospital to get clearance. You can either go up in an ambulance or you can ride with one of us, and we'll just drag you out of the car for clearance.
See, it's allowed. They're allowed to talk to me like that when I didn't even touch them.
Well, then you need to go in the ambulance with them if you don't want to be away. All right, then you can just ride up with us.
No, I'm not. I'm not riding with them.
Yep, you'll ride with us.
It's a quiet New Jersey night, streets mostly deserted, but that all changes when a Tesla crashes hard enough for the airbags to deploy. Enter Priscilla, the driver, and right off the bat, things start going sideways when the officers approach. You can almost feel the tension build as they notice the strong smell of alcohol wafting from the car, and it's clear this isn't going to be a smooth interaction.
All right, ma'am. Ma'am. What's the matter? Come here, come here. Come here. What the hell's wrong? Nope, not doing that.
The officers try to do their job calmly at first. Asking Priscilla to step out of her Tesla seems easy, right? Well, not for Priscilla. She's in no mood to cooperate, immediately refusing and unleashing a string of complaints, yelling and cursing. "I don't feel safe," she keeps saying, like that's going to stop the police from investigating the accident and her condition. And if you were wondering, no, it doesn't.
Ma'am, can you step out, please?
No, I'm not gonna step out. I don't feel safe, so shut the
Ma'am, step out, please. Ma'am, step out, please. Ma'am, step out, please. Ma'am.
As the officers remain professional and continue asking her to step out, she ramps up her behavior, telling them to leave her alone. The frustration is palpable on both sides. You can imagine the officers thinking, this could have been so simple, but apparently, Priscilla doesn't do simple. No, she's got a lot of things to say, and none of them are polite. When an officer informs her she's not entitled to a lawyer at a motor vehicle stop, she hits back with an attitude that could rival a reality TV meltdown. "Excuse me? I'm not entitled to a lawyer?" she retorts, almost like she's above the law.
I need you to step away from the car, okay?
No, I'm gonna
Step
stay
away here. Do
not touch me.
Do
not touch me. I feel safe here. Thank you.
You're gonna get put in
Do not
handcuffs.
touch me. Do not touch
You
me.
get put in handcuffs. Step away from the car. You're in the roadway. You
I'm
need to
next
step
to my
away
car.
from the car now.
I'm not doing anything.
We're gonna ask you one more time to
I'm
step
right
away
in
from
front
the
of
car.
the cross country. The cross
Step
country.
away from your car. You're in the roadway. If you don't step away
I'm not in the roadway.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
on the sidewalk
Step
right
away
here.
from the car.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Thank you.
Don't touch me.
Okay.
You piece of shit. I'm in front of the CVS pharmacy.
How much you have to drink tonight, man?
I got assaulted, you piece of shit.
By who?
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
If we started with that, we wouldn't have a problem, would we?
You know what? Off. You don't know who I am.
Because you didn't tell us.
Shut the fuck. I don't have to tell you shit.
do, though.
Wait for my lawyer.
You don't have to wait.
The situation escalates as officers begin administering field sobriety tests. At this point, it's not just her refusal that's raising eyebrows, it's her entire demeanor. She's belligerent, lashing out verbally at the police, and demanding things that make no sense in the context. You can tell that she's not used to hearing no in her life.
Can't help you if you don't tell us what happened.
You don't want to help me. Fuck you. Fuck both of you, asshole.
You're helping yourself out doing
Yeah,
that.
whatever.
How old are you? 40? That's how you act?
Yeah, I do. Because you're big.
I understand.
Yeah, I know.
Do you want to be seen by the ambulance? They're here for you.
No.
No? You're refusing medical attention?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not injured, right?
I might be injured, but
Well, if you're refusing medical attention...
you know what? Shut the fuck. Get out of my face.
I'm not in your face.
And here's where things start to unravel for Priscilla. Despite all the yelling, accusations, and refusal to cooperate, the officers finally get her to take a breathalyzer test. Surprise, surprise. She blows a 0.11, just over the legal limit. This confirms what everyone pretty much suspected from the moment the officers made contact with her. She's intoxicated, and this crash wasn't just bad luck.
Honey. What am I? Why? Ma'am. Priscilla. Ma'am, relax.
But Priscilla isn't ready to face the music. Instead of accepting responsibility, she goes on another tirade, calling the officers names and telling them she's waiting for her lawyer. That entitlement just oozes out of her with every word. The officers, to their credit, remain calm and professional, but it's clear Priscilla is in her own world, where she thinks she can talk her way out of anything. Unfortunately for her, that world doesn't exist outside her Tesla.
Looking at the detective? Yeah, I got him checking now. So do you want to tell us what led to the accident?
Fuck you.
Were you running from somebody?
Fuck
Were you in fear for your life?
Fuck you.
Things start to take a more dramatic turn when Priscilla makes some wild claims. She talks about being assaulted, stalked by an ex, and having a hit put on her. It's hard to tell if these accusations are real, or if they're an attempt to deflect from her current situation. Either way, the officers listen, but they remain focused on the task at hand, getting her off the road before anyone else gets hurt.
48 Cliffside PD on scene as well as 4 League BLS.
348 2219.
Look up.
At one point, Priscilla starts going after the officers personally, calling them names, making things even more complicated. It's clear she's used to people backing down or maybe being too afraid to challenge her, but the law doesn't work that way, and these officers aren't playing her game. You can see her privilege unraveling in real time, and it's almost painful to watch. She has no idea she's digging herself deeper into trouble with every insult she hurls.
Did you have a bad experience with police? Is that why you don't like us?
You know what? Shut the... Okay?
Did your ex-boyfriend assault you tonight?
The footage captures her continuous resistance, refusing to be taken seriously. Even after the test results are clear and the consequences are staring her in the face, Priscilla doesn't back down. It's the height of spoiled behavior, acting like the rules don't apply to you because of who you are, or worse, who you think you are.
I'm in front of the CVS pharmacy.
How much you have to drink tonight, man?
I got assaulted, you piece of shit!
By who?
Yeah, okay, whatever.
If we started with that, we wouldn't have a problem, would we?
You know what?
Eventually, the inevitable happens. Priscilla is taken into custody for a DUI with her hands cuffed behind her back, but not before she continues her verbal assault on the officers. Even as they're walking her to the squad car, she's still yelling at the top of her lungs.
Hello? Get off of me! Get off of me! Leave me alone!
Leave me alone! Don't touch me! Get off of me! You leave me alone! I'm just getting away from you!
Actions have consequences, no matter who you are. And in this case, Priscilla's actions and her mouth made things far worse than they ever needed to be. In the end, Priscilla's Tesla might have been the first thing to crash that night, but it definitely wasn't the last. Her reality, built on privilege and entitlement, hit the hardest wall of all, the law.
Get off of me! Get off of me! You should have done it at the beginning, you asshole!
Tilt your head down a little bit. Just keep it straight.
7, 8.
Okay, you can stop.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Turn around. You're being placed under arrest. You're driving while it's asking.
I'm sorry, sir.
Get down! Get on the ground! Hands behind your back!
There we go.
Coming out the back door!
Tragedy struck in Winder, Georgia, as a school shooting left 2 students and 2 teachers dead. A 14-year-old suspect, accused of using an assault rifle, is now in custody, along with his father, who faces charges for allowing him to possess the weapon. We have the latest developments from police reports, court records, and eyewitness accounts.
His charges are directly connected with the actions of his son and allowing him to possess a weapon.
Ateen and his father are both behind bars after the country's latest school shooting left 2 students and 2 teachers dead. It happened about an hour outside of Atlanta in Winder, Georgia. The 14-year-old alleged shooter made his first appearance in court, accused of using an assault rifle to target his classmates and teachers.
In a courtroom, a judge addresses the defendant, Colt Gray, outlining his rights. He has the right to a preliminary hearing, a speedy and public trial, and to confront witnesses. He can choose to testify or remain silent, and his refusal to testify cannot be used against him. Judge inquires if there are any other matters to address before concluding the hearing. The prosecutor, Ms. Donna Seagraves, mentions a development that requires further arrangements. The judge recesses the hearing, then returns Colt to the courtroom to clarify the maximum penalty for his charges, which does not include death due to his age.
You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense if you so choose. As you sit here in this courtroom today, under the law, you are presumed innocent. Your refusal to testify at any point in any proceeding will not be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty.
I do have one piece of information to convey to the court. There was a development yesterday afternoon that makes it necessary for our office to have alternate counsel appointed, and arrangements have already been made in that regard. I've already explained that to Mr. Gray, and alternate counsel will be appointed by the end of the day today.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Donna Seagraves. All right, then with that, this hearing is concluded. I correctly told you the maximum penalty, except for the fact that you are under 18 years old. So I wanted to inform you and make it clear to you that the penalty for the crimes for which you are charged does not include death. It includes life without the possibility of parole.
Colin Gray faces severe charges, including felony murder, involuntary manslaughter, and cruelty to children. The maximum penalty for these 14 charges is 180 years imprisonment, a stark reality that underscores the gravity of the allegations against him.
You're currently charged with 2 counts of felony murder in the second degree. You're charged with 4 counts of felony involuntary manslaughter. You're charged with 8 counts of felony cruelty to children in the second degree. Now, for these offenses, for the felony murder counts in the second degree, felony murder in the second degree, the maximum penalty for each count is up to 30 years imprisonment. For the 8 felony cruelty to children counts, the maximum penalty under the law for each of those 8 counts is 10 years imprisonment, for a maximum total possible penalty for the charges that you currently are facing of 180 years imprisonment.
On Sept 4th, a 14-year-old shooter opened fire at a school, killing 2 students and 2 teachers. He used an assault rifle given to him by his father. After being unable to re-enter his algebra class, he began shooting next door. 9 others were injured but are expected to recover. The shooter surrendered and made a chilling statement. "I did it." He's been charged with 4 counts of felony murder.
So here's what we know so far about what happened on Wednesday, September 4th. Witnesses say the shooter left his algebra class around 10 a.m. and came back to the classroom with an assault rifle his father reportedly gave him for Christmas. When he couldn't get back into his math class, witnesses say the alleged shooter went to the classroom next door. That's when he allegedly opened fire, killing Mason Skirmerhorn and Christian Angelo, both 14 years old, and teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina Urami. 9 other people, including 8 students, were injured in the shooting and taken to a hospital. 2 school resource officers confronted Gray, according to Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith, and he surrendered, putting the gun on the ground. After he was read his rights, he reportedly made a chilling statement: "I did it."
Georgia Bureau of Investigation credits new alert system and heroic teachers for saving lives during shooting. Teachers' quick actions prevented further tragedy. Sheriff praises teachers as heroes, saying they stood in the gap to protect students. Community grateful for bravery and selflessness in face of evil.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says a brand new emergency alert system saved lives during the shooting. The new technology was just installed last week. Several teachers were also able to press buttons on badges to call for help and put the school on a hard lockdown.
Please lift up our community. Please keep these children, these teachers. We call them teachers, but I call them heroes. But we told them that we love them, we love our teachers and what they do, and we're very happy at the fact that they stood in the gap.
We remember the victims of the shooting. Mason Skirmerhorn, 14, was a new student with autism, always upbeat and joyful. Christian Angelo, 14, was loved by many, his loss sudden and unexpected. 2 teachers also lost their lives. Richard Aspinwall, 39, a kind-hearted math instructor and football coach, and Christian Arami, 53, an algebra teacher and dance instructor, who was celebrating her birthday that day. We honor their memories and mourn their loss.
We want to talk about the victims in the shooting. 14-year-old Mason Skirmerhorn had recently started at the high school. His mother says he was living with autism and could be easily spooked. There were searches for Mason in all the chaos on the day of the shooting, with his family hopeful that he was hiding somewhere, but they soon learned he was actually one of the victims. A family friend told the New York Times he really enjoyed life. He always had an upbeat attitude about everything. 14-year-old Christian Angelo was also killed. The 2 teachers who lost their lives were both math instructors. 39-year-old Richard Aspinwall was also the high school football team's defense coordinator. 53-year-old Christian Arami, an algebra teacher, also died from gunshot wounds. The native of Romania was active in the Romanian community and worked as a dance instructor. She was actually celebrating her birthday on the day of the shooting.
Investigators probed the motive behind the shooting, looking into Gray's troubled home life for clues. His mother, Marcy, has a criminal history, including a recent sentence for family violence and new charges for aggravated battery. Gray's father, Colin, bought him an AR-15 style rifle for Christmas around the time of his mother's sentencing. The investigation continues to untangle the complexities of Gray's home life and its potential link to the shooting.
It appears Gray had a troubling home life growing up. He was living with his father, Colin, while his mother, Marcy, lived with her parents hours away in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Gray's mom, Marcy, has a criminal history dating back to 2007. She was sentenced to jail last December, around the time it's believed Colin Gray bought his son an AR-15 style rifle for Christmas. April of this year, Marcy was charged in connection with a case of aggravated battery of a 73-year-old woman.
Investigative report. FBI tip about middle school shooting threat on Discord led to Colt's email address. Colin claimed unfamiliarity with Discord, while Colt admitted having an account but denied making threats. Colin mentioned hunting rifles at home, but said Colt had no unsupervised access. Inconsistent info and multiple IP addresses meant neither was detained.
We got our hands on the Jackson County investigative report about the conversation between deputies and Colt, as well as his father, Colin. The FBI had gotten a tip that someone planned to shoot up a middle school the next day. The info came from a user on a Discord chat. Investigators were able to connect the account to an email address linked to Colt. Colin stated that he does not know what Discord is, stating that he works full-time and does not play video games. Colin allowed me to speak with Colt. Colt stated he used to have a Discord account, but deleted it prior to moving from their previous address. Colin informed me that he does have firearms in the house, but that they are hunting rifles.
Officials in Athens announced a 12-year-old in custody for making hoax threats, posting photos of guns and listing school names. Another teen in Jackson County was arrested for threatening to finish the job, but the sheriff confirmed Colt Gray acted alone. A second vigil is planned for Friday night, with grief counselors available to support those in need.
Officials in Athens, Clark County also announced they had a person in custody for hoax threats. This one, a 12-year-old. They say he posted photos of guns he found online and listed names of schools. There were rumors in the hours after the attack that there was more than one shooter and that they planned to target as many schools as possible. The sheriff said those rumors were unfounded and it appeared Colt Gray was the lone perpetrator. A second vigil is planned for Friday night at a park in Winder. Grief counselors are expected to be there to help anyone who might need it.
A police officer pulls over Laura, activating their lights and asking her to step out and identify herself. Laura responds hesitantly, and the officer asks where she's coming from. Laura's vague reply, "Pumpkin Plains," prompts the officer to press for more details. As Laura's responses become increasingly vague, the officer remains firm but polite, seeking clarification to ensure everyone's safety. This exchange highlights the importance of clear communication and procedure in a police stop.
Police lights, you're supposed to pull over.
Yes.
Please step out of the car. What's your name?
Laura.
Where are you coming from?
Pumpkin Plains.
Pumpkin Plains? You're in Pumpkin Plains. Where were you before Quick Check?
Pumpkin Lakes.
Pumpkin Lakes? What were you doing there?
I was just going home.
From where?
Pumpkin Lakes.
What were you doing in Pumpkin Lakes?
I was just going home.
You were going home?
The officer asks Laura if she's had anything to drink, a crucial question to determine DUI. Laura denies consumption, and the officer follows up to assess her sobriety and potential impairment, demonstrating diligence in investigating potential DUI cases and prioritizing road safety.
Do you have anything to drink tonight?
No.
Any alcohol? None?
No.
None at all?
No.
You take any drugs?
No.
No? Nothing illegal? Nothing like that?
No.
Okay. You're not coming from a bar or anything like that?
No.
The officer asks Laura if she's coming from a bar, and she denies it. The officer asks about items in the car, and Laura claims to have no drinks. To ensure Laura's sobriety, the officer announces they'll conduct tests, which Laura agrees to. The officer then begins a series of tests to assess Laura's impairment and make an informed decision about her fitness to drive.
Anything in the car?
No.
Nothing, thank you. You sure you don't have anything to drink tonight? I'm gonna run you through some tests, okay? What was your name again?
Laura.
Laura?
Okay.
What's in your mouth?
Nothing.
What's your highest level of education?
Bachelor's.
Bachelor's? So you don't have any issues with the English alphabet or counting numbers? Nothing like that? No problem? Starting with the letter B and stopping at the letter K. Recite the alphabet, okay?
C-E-D-E-F-G-H-K.
The officer asks Laura to perform physical tasks, such as touching each fingertip to each thumb and following a pen with her eyes. Laura complies, and the officer checks her eyes and asks about any injuries or glasses. The officer is methodically evaluating Laura's coordination and cognitive function.
You have any injuries on your hands?
No way.
Okay. I'm going to demonstrate. I want you to look at my hand.
Okay.
I'm going to show you what to do, and then I want you to do it. Don't start until I tell you to start, okay?
Okay.
You're going to touching each fingertip to each thumb. It's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's one rotation. I want you to do that 3 times. Do you understand?
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay, you can stop.
The officer checks Laura's eyes, asking her to follow a pen with her eyes only. Laura nods and follows the pen with her eyes. The officer is evaluating Laura's eye movement and pupillary response. The officer instructs Laura to tilt her head down slightly, and Laura complies. The officer is checking for any signs of intoxication or impairment. The officer moves the pen back and forth, asking Laura to follow with her eyes, and Laura tracks the pen. The officer is evaluating Laura's ability to focus and follow instructions.
Have a seat on the front of this right here. Do you have a glass eye?
No.
And you just wear glasses, you're not wearing contacts right now? Okay. Right now I'm going to check your eyes, okay? See the tip of this pen? See the tip of it? Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring it back and forth. I want you to follow with your eyes and your eyes only, keeping your head straight. Do you understand? You understand? Okay. Tilt your head down a little bit. Just keep it straight. Yep, just look like that, okay?
The officer asks Laura if she is willing to perform the test, and she agrees. When the test begins, Laura starts walking from toe to toe, but she is unable to walk properly due to her intoxication. She staggers and loses her balance, nearly falling down, when an officer quickly grabs her to prevent her from falling.
You're willing to do the test?
Yes.
Okay. Just do as best you can.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
All right, you may begin whenever you're ready.
2, 3, 4.
Stop.
All right, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, continue. But if you're gonna fall, don't.
1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, you can stop.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Turn around, you're being placed under arrest. Your driver wants to ask you. Stop.
I'm sorry, sir.
The officer directs Laura to have a seat and prop her feet up, and Laura complies. The officer is providing clear instructions and ensuring Laura's safety. The officer explains a warning form for being underage in the state of Jersey and gave it to her mother. The officer is informing Laura's mother of the legal consequences and ensuring she understands the situation.
Have a seat.
Walk right on.
Go butt first. Just slide in and then prop your feet up, okay? There you go. Going straight that way. This is just another form that, this is just for a warning for her because she's underage. In the state of New Jersey, it's new law. It's just like a warning notice for being underage. And
For her?
yes, there's nothing like new charge or anything. It's just another piece of paper.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Nebraska babysitter Tiffany Kerr, 20, is accused of killing 3-month-old Stormy Swartz, facing felony child abuse charges. Autopsy results revealed 2 skull fractures and unsafe living conditions. Kerr is prohibited from unsupervised contact with children and faces a court appearance. If convicted, she may spend life in prison.
A babysitter in Nebraska is charged with killing the baby girl she was supposed to be caring for. We're discussing the heartbreaking results of an autopsy on the 3-month-old and the case against the sitter with attorney Florina Altschiller. 20-year-old Tiffany Kerr is charged with felony child abuse resulting in death. She was babysitting a nearly 4-month-old baby in Marquette, Nebraska. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office got a call that Stormy Swartz was unresponsive inside a home. An autopsy the next day showed the baby had 2 skull fractures. The deputy also said the baby was in a house that smelled like urine and had dog feces on the floor. She can't have any sort of unsupervised contact with children. Kerr is next in court at the end of the month. If convicted of felony child abuse resulting in death, she could face the rest of her life in prison.
A 3-month-old baby's life was cut short while in the care of a trusted individual. Attorney Florina Altschiller joins us to discuss the case, revealing the baby suffered 2 skull fractures, suggesting sinister intent. Multiple fractures imply deliberate harm rather than an accident. A disturbing and eye-opening truth, highlighting the fragility of life and the importance of accountability.
I'm joined now by attorney Florina Altschiller. Florina, thank you so much for being here with us today. This is truly a horrific case. You have a 3-month-old baby who died allegedly at the hands of someone who was supposed to take care of her. And an autopsy revealed she had 2 skull fractures. What's been your take on this case?
Anytime a young child passes away, it really is just a horrific situation. With skull fractures, there is the suggestion that that's not something that necessarily happens accidentally. Multiple skull fractures are what would suggest to me that this is not simply an accident, but perhaps the child being either thrown or hit repeatedly.
Authorities found the home where baby Stormy was cared for in deplorable conditions, urine-soaked and littered with dog feces. Attorney Florina Altschiller notes this suggests neglect of both the child and pets. Combined with baby Stormy's physical injuries, it raises concerns about criminal activity beyond neglect. The unclear relationship between baby Stormy and the defendant adds to the tragedy.
And authorities noted the home where baby Stormy was located smelled of urine and had dog feces.
Yeah, oftentimes when there's conditions in the home that suggest that the child was not attended to or pets were not attended to, there's feces, there's urine, things are not cleaned. It is suggestive, not necessarily of criminal action, but it's suggestive of neglect. It's suggestive of somebody who's supposed to be taking care of that child. Now, taken together with the physical injuries, it suggests something far more nefarious not just neglect, but criminal activity.
Young children have soft, developing bones that can break easily, making them vulnerable to harm. Yet some individuals act impulsively, forgetting the devastating consequences. Shaking, hitting, or using excessive force can be fatal. It's astonishing that we need to remind people that violence against children is never acceptable and that they deserve care and compassion, not brutality.
Some people don't understand that a very young child is going to have very soft bones that are still developing and that they're going to break very easily. And it's not a lot of force that's necessary to do that. You know, and this sounds like common sense. As I say it, I'm thinking, why do I even need to say this? This is common sense. You can't hit a child. But I think when people act irrationally in the moment and emotionally, they're not thinking about consequences, and they're failing to realize that acting impulsively and either shaking or hitting this child could very well result, as it did here, in death.
Our hearts go out to baby Stormy's parents, experiencing unbearable grief. Losing a child in such a tragic manner is a pain beyond words. They may feel guilty, wondering if they could have prevented it. But time can't be turned back. All we can do is learn and move forward. A truth that's easier said than lived in moments like these.
I can't even begin to imagine how they could be feeling right now.
Right. Anybody that loses a child under such tragic circumstances is obviously going to be distraught. You know, sometimes people feel guilt, people blame themselves because they rethink, you know, what could I have done differently? They replay the situation. They think about how, you know, if only I didn't do this, or if only I didn't do that.
The parents' input on punishment will be considered, but not decisive. Prosecutors will consult with them to understand their wishes, such as maximum sentencing or alternative outcomes. While significant incarceration is likely, the district attorney's office will weigh their input alongside other factors to determine the best course of action.
In terms of the legal system, how much say will the parents get in this case as far as punishment is concerned?
So every district attorney's office is a little bit different, but for the most part, most district attorney's offices will consider what the victim wants in the case. And district attorney's offices will often consult with the victims to see what they want to happen. Do they want the person to get the maximum sentence? Do they want to be more lenient? But it's something that the district attorney's office will listen to and then will weigh with whatever the other factors are. So how strong is the evidence? Can they prove causation? Do they have an expert that's going to be able to opine that the death of this child resulted from criminal activity versus negligence or an accident?
In death cases, forensic evidence and admissions are key. When the perpetrator remains silent, science takes over. Autopsies, medical expertise, and common sense help build the case. In this instance, a 3-month-old baby's injuries, including a cracked skull on both sides, clearly indicate a non-accidental trauma.
So in death cases, it heavily relies on forensics and it relies on admissions by the person who did it. So the more the person tells us or admits about what happened, the child or adults in cases, right, who passed away, can't tell us anything, and the person who did it. And if they're not talking, now there's really no way to know for sure what happened other than through science. And this is where doctors come in, and this is where conclusions can be drawn to say, this is not an accident. This is not something that happens accidentally. You don't crack your skull on both sides of your head from tripping and falling.
Can Tiffany Kerr's legal team mount a convincing defense? Beyond a simple denial, they might argue that someone else was responsible or that the child was already injured. Another strategy could be to claim that the prosecution can't prove Kerr intended to harm the child, suggesting the death was an accident. But their best bet may be to challenge the prosecution's ability to prove causation, that Kerr's actions directly caused the child's death. With a young defendant and a vulnerable victim, the evidence will be paramount in determining justice.
And beyond that, this was just an accident. Does 20-year-old Tiffany Kerr really have any defenses at play here?
Well, we don't know all the facts. One defense is always, wasn't me. The it wasn't me defense doesn't require, but to a jury essentially requires, well, okay, who was it then, right? she has to be able to pin it on another suspect, because just it wasn't me is not going to be enough if the prosecution is able to prove that she was there and she had control of this child. Maybe this child was injured just before she got. How soon did she report this? Did she call 911? What did she say when she called 911? What did she say when she reported it? So there's always the "it wasn't me" defense or the "they didn't prove it" defense. They have to prove that the defendant caused intentionally the death of this child.
Our heart goes out to the family in this devastating case. Unfortunately, these cases are all too common. The best way to prevent them is to be vigilant and cautious about who you trust with your child's care. We've seen cases like this in daycare centers, with au pairs, babysitters, and even trusted neighbors. It's crucial to be mindful of who you entrust with your most precious gift, your child. We offer our condolences to the family and appreciate Florina's expertise and time today.
All right, well, Florina, thank you so much for your insight into this case. Before we sign you off, is there anything else you would like to add?
You know, my heart breaks for the family, and every time, unfortunately, we hear about these cases, and there really is not a great way of preventing this other than being vigilant and being careful as to who you trust your children in the care of. So I am sorry, and my heart goes out to the family.
In Columbus, Ohio, newly released video shows police apprehending Devin Blair, accused of brutally murdering his pregnant girlfriend. Blair had a history of domestic violence arrests between 2019 and 2021 and had 2 active warrants out for his arrest at the time of the incident. After his girlfriend reported domestic abuse just days earlier, the victim's family is left to grieve, with one sibling saying, "I think he pretty killed my sister."
Stop right there! Stop!
I think you fucking killed my sister!
This case takes us to Columbus, Ohio, where suspect Devin Blair already had a lengthy rap sheet. At the time of this incident, there were already 2 active warrants out for Blair's arrest because just days earlier, his girlfriend reported domestic abuse.
On June 16th, a 911 text reported a domestic violence situation, leading police to respond to a tragic scene. Pregnant 19-year-old Brooke Deviney was found murdered, and suspect Devin Blair is now accused of her killing. Body cam footage captures officers approaching the area, discussing Blair's prior run-ins with the law as they spot him fleeing on foot. The devastating incident unfolded at 7:45 a.m., and the investigation has left a community shaken.
That girlfriend was 19-year-old Brooke Deviney, who was pregnant at the time. Blair is now accused of her murder. It all happened on June 16th when police got a 911 text reporting a domestic violence situation. You can hear officers discussing Devin and his prior run-ins with the law.
Anything different. He's got a felony warrant. It's essentially part of what we're doing is working a 50A.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would treat it the same way.
Okay.
As Columbus police approach the area, they see someone running away on foot. That person is their suspect, Devin Blair.
The intense pursuit continues for minutes, with Blair sprinting through a neighborhood lined with backyard fences. Officers momentarily lose sight of him, only to catch a glimpse again and resume the chase. The cat-and-mouse game unfolds, with police hot on Blair's heels as he desperately tries to evade capture.
This continues for minutes as Blair runs through the neighborhood that is lined with backyard fences.
I think we might have him in the backyard here.
And then officers get an eye on Blair again.
Stop right there! Stop! He's in behind 46 Teller Street.
The heart-wrenching moment officers arrive at the scene where Brooke Devine is found is also captured on video. Her distraught brother tells officers, "I think he killed my sister. He's dipped and run away." An officer asks where his sister is, and upon entering the house, the screen blurs, but the audio reveals the devastating discovery. Cries and screams fill the air as the officer finds Brooke's lifeless body upstairs.
Yep, that's where I am.
Also caught on video, the moment officers arrive at the scene where the victim, Brooke Devine, is found.
I think he was back at the house. He got some screaming inside.
I think he fucking killed my sister.
Where's your sister? Is he inside? Is he inside?
No, he dipped. I don't.
Where's your sister?
She's upstairs in her room. 4623. He killed her.
He's not here, but his brother or her brother's.
The video is blurred as soon as the officer goes inside, but you can hear crying in the background.
Oh, baby!
Get out, please. Start a 20.
I tried doing compressions. I couldn't.
Radio chatter intensifies as officers close in on Blair's suspected location. Blair may be in a field nearby. Dispatchers alert. An officer rushes to the scene, parking and sprinting towards a nearby building. Two officers then begin a thorough search of the building, calling out, "Columbus Police, if you're in here, come out." The tense standoff unfolds as they hunt for Blair.
He headed into the field there behind Georgian Heights.
The officer then parks in a rush and runs for a nearby building.
Looks like the boards are ripped off of this 7A here. That's this vacant of this church behind the church. I don't know the address. It doesn't have one. It's been vacant for decades.
You made it through this field, Josh?
Two officers then begin searching this building for any signs of Blair.
Columbus Police, if you're in here, sound off!
We'll just have to go slow. I'll hold this hallway, or you want to hold the hallway, I'll kick stuff around over here.
Additional officers converge on the area, and one officer quickly spots Blair. He rushes towards him shouting, "Drop to the ground, hands behind your back." The officer swiftly moves to cuff Blair, his actions swift and decisive. As the arrest unfolds, other officers, who had been searching the nearby house, emerge to witness the scene. They watch as Blair is taken into custody, the tense moment reaching its climax as the suspect is finally apprehended.
Get down! Get on the ground! Hands behind your back! There we go. Coming out the back door! What's your name? Devin? Devin. Stand up, Devin. Oh, stand up.
Officers escort Blair back to their squad cars, instructing him to face the vehicle and spread his feet apart. As they begin to search him, Blair suddenly starts banging his head against the squad car. The video feed cuts to the host, who narrates, "As officers search Blair, he becomes agitated and starts banging his head against the squad car." The situation escalates, and officers quickly tackle Blair to the ground, struggling to restrain him as he continues to resist.
Check that wood line, make sure nothing's back over there.
I am a what?
Nothing. Face the car. Spread your feet.
I got weed on me. Let me get my water.
Stop.
Let me get my water.
Blair is presented with a choice: cooperate with the officers or be restrained to a stretcher. However, Blair refuses to comply, pushing back and taunting the officers. One officer sternly asks, "Do you want to be a man or go on a stretcher?" Despite the warning, Blair continues to resist, forcing the officers to take action. They secure him to a stretcher and load him into a van. Ultimately, Blair is charged with murder and is now being held on an $11 million bond, a stark consequence of his actions.
This can go two ways. You can go on a stretcher and we can strap you down, or you can be a man and sit back here. It's your choice. Which one's it going to be?
I didn't want to be on.
You want to be a man, or you need to go on a stretcher?
Are you going to act like a child, or are you going to do it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Tell me.
Stretcher out.
Say he's standing or no?
No, he won't make a decision.
He's talking to me crazy.
He didn't answer the question.
On your feet. Use your feet. Start walking.
Put me on a stretcher on one.
Start walking.
Jesus Christ. Stand up.
Stand up.
I got you.
Blair was ultimately charged with murder and is now being held on $11 million bond.
A devastating case of child abuse and murder has shaken a California family. 6-year-old Chance Crawford was tortured and beaten to death with a piece of lumber, allegedly because he wet his pants. The trusted babysitter is now charged with murder. Chance was a bright and curious boy who loved learning and art. His family remembers his infectious smile and joy, but now he's gone. Orange County prosecutor Todd Spitzer vows to seek justice for Chance and his family.
A 6-year-old boy tortured and beaten to death with a piece of lumber. Prosecutors say this unbelievably heinous crime was all because Chance Crawford wet his pants. Now the man trusted to babysit little Chance is charged with murdering him, and the prosecutor is promising justice. He loved watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Sesame Street, and his family says he was smart and inquisitive and also a great artist. Chance should be here with his family, making them laugh and going to school with his little classmates in California. But Chance is dead.
DA reveals Ernest Love, 41, took Chance, 6, to the ER instead of calling 911. Surveillance video shows Love entering his barbershop with lumber, followed by Chance. Doctors found severe injuries, including swelling, shaking trauma, and a healing fracture. Love allegedly beat Chance with lumber, poured peroxide on his wounds, and forced him to exercise before he collapsed, leading to his death Tuesday afternoon.
Last Friday, around 1:30 a.m., the DA said that Ernest Lamar Love, a 41-year-old man, took Chance to the emergency room instead of calling 911. It was Chance's third day of first grade. Less than 3 hours before Chance had been taken to the hospital, the DA says that surveillance video showed Love walking into his barbershop with a piece of large lumber and Chance reluctantly following behind. Doctors at the hospital found that much of Chance's flesh was missing from his rear end and he had gaping wounds. The DA says after beating Chance with the lumber and pouring peroxide on his wounds, Love forced little Chance to do push-ups, sit-ups, and jumping jacks, and then Chance collapsed. Doctors and nurses tried to save Chance, but they couldn't despite their best efforts. That beautiful little boy died this past Tuesday afternoon.
District Attorney Todd Spitzer stated that while Chance's classmates celebrated the end of their first week of first grade, Chance lay fighting for his life in a hospital bed. The terror he endured is unimaginable, suffered at the hands of someone supposed to protect him. Now prosecutors seek justice for Chance, pursuing charges against Ernest Lamar Love for murder, torture, and child abuse causing death. Love faces 32 years to life in prison if convicted. Ironically, he had posted photos of Chance on his Instagram page, a stark contrast to the horrific reality.
District Attorney Todd Spitzer wrote in a statement, while his new classmates were celebrating the end of the first week of first grade, Chance's seat in his classroom was empty, all at the hands of someone who was supposed to be protecting him, not torturing him to death. Now we as prosecutors will do everything we can to pursue justice for little Chance. Ernest Lamar Love faces a felony count of murder and 1 felony count of torture and a felony count of child abuse causing death. He faces 32 years to life in prison if convicted of all of the charges.
Kimberly Eds, head of public affairs for the OCDA's office, shares her thoughts on the case. It's unbelievable. A babysitter brutally beat a 6-year-old boy with lumber for urinating himself. Every working parent's worst nightmare. When asked about the mother's reaction, Eds hesitates, citing the ongoing investigation, but notes that it's a devastating incident no one expects to happen.
The fact that you have a babysitter who was entrusted to watch over a 6-year-old little boy who just started his first week of first grade, and then that week ended with him being brutally beaten with a piece of lumber because he urinated himself at a park is just absolutely beyond horrific. It's honestly every working parent's worst nightmare.
Can you tell us anything about Chance's mother's reaction? I mean, I can't even, reaction just seems like such a cold word, but I can't imagine getting that phone call.
She had dropped off Chance after his third day of first grade to the barbershop where his babysitter worked. While she went to work as a nursing assistant at a nearby hospital and worked the night shift, where the babysitter was supposed to be caring for Chance overnight until she returned to pick him up in the morning.
6-year-old Chance suffered unimaginable horror at the hands of his babysitter. He was brutally beaten, causing flesh to fall off his body, and was subjected to further abuse, including hydrogen peroxide being poured on his wounds and violent shaking, leading to severe brain bleeding. The babysitter's inaction led to a tragic outcome. This heartbreaking case is a stark reminder that children deserve protection, not violence, and should be treated with compassion and care.
I mean, you have an instance where a defenseless 6-year-old child was just so savagely beaten to the point that you have his flesh is literally falling off of his little body. When he was taken to the hospital unconscious because the babysitter did not call 911 and instead put him in the car and took him to the hospital himself, doctors found that he had been deprived of oxygen for about 15 minutes. And his little brain didn't have any oxygen at all.
Attorney Adante Pointer shares his outrage on the case. Ernest Love's actions are a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for evil. He must be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. The allegations are beyond horrific, snuffing out an innocent child's life and innocence. While innocent until proven guilty, Love should be held accountable through the legal process.
Adante Pointer was a criminal defense attorney for many years. He's now a civil rights attorney, and he's based in California. Adante, this case, it's almost made me cry several times just reading through it. Your thoughts as an attorney?
Well, as an attorney, I see that this is a man, a monster that needs to be held accountable for what he did to the fullest extent of the law. And it's the type of case, as attorney, you see, you just always come back to how it's so horrific that people can do these type of things to humans, to other people, to, in particular, a kid. There's a special place in hell for people who do things like this. And
it's unbelievable what the DA has described here. And yes, this man, Ernest Love, is innocent until proven guilty, but the allegations here are so beyond the pale.
This case is devastating. Chance's mother trusted the babysitter, Ernest Love, but he betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. As a parent, it's unimaginable to harm a child. The mother must be consumed by pain and guilt, feeling she failed to protect her child. But it's important to remember that she doesn't deserve that guilt. Such crimes are a betrayal of trust and a violation of our worst nightmares.
Adante, I'm a mom. You're a father. And we cover these things, these cases, and some of them are so horrific, but this is truly one of the most horrific. And I feel like I've had to say this too many times, that this is one of the most horrific things. Little Chance's mother trusted this person to watch her son, to babysit him while she was working, trying to provide for her son.
Yeah, this is one of those, as a parent, as a father, as someone whose kids are entrusted to me to take them back and forth, whether they're coming over to spend the night or we're going out for some sort of activity. You would never lay your hand on another person's kid, let alone do something in this way. And for him to betray not only the trust of the mother, but also the kid, and frankly of society, you do not expect in your worst, most disgusting, if you will, dreams that something like this would occur to your child.
This case has left us shaken. Despite not knowing the family, we know what it means to treat a child with kindness and decency. But Ernest Love's actions were the opposite. He brutally beat Chance with a piece of lumber, causing gaping wounds, and then poured hydrogen peroxide on them. His actions are unimaginable, requiring a complete abandonment of sane thought. He must be held accountable for his heinous crimes and receive the maximum punishment possible.
The ripple effect, as you just said, it's affected us, and we didn't even know this family. We didn't know this kid. We didn't know this mother, but we do know what it is to act with decency and kindness towards a child. And this man turned into a tormentor. I mean, to beat a child with a piece of lumber to the point where they have gaping wounds, and then just to pour hydrogen peroxide on it. He has to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
On June 4, 2022, 19-year-old Rachel Hansen was tragically killed in her Gilbert, Arizona apartment. An intruder broke in while she slept, shooting her with a single bullet. Rachel fought to survive, dialing 911, but sadly passed away at the hospital. 2 years later, the case remains unsolved, leaving behind unanswered questions. Who was the intruder, and why did they take Rachel's life?
An intruder breaks into an apartment and with a single bullet shoots a 19-year-old, killing her. But 2 years later, no arrest in the case. On June 4th of 2022, 19-year-old Rachel Hansen was just a week shy of her 20th birthday. But tragically, she never had a chance to celebrate her birthday. She was sleeping inside her Gilbert, Arizona apartment when an intruder broke in and shot her. Rachel fought hard for her survival. She dialed 911 to let authorities know she had been shot by an unknown person around 2 a.m. When officers arrived, they found Hansen with one gunshot wound. She was rushed to the hospital, but she passed away.
When Rachel called 911, she desperately pleaded for help, saying, "Someone broke in and shot me." She gave her address and begged the dispatcher to hurry. As she struggled to stay on the line, Rachel revealed she was alone and bleeding profusely. The dispatcher tried to keep her calm, asking her to apply pressure with a cloth, but Rachel weakly replied, "I can't." Those were her final words.
When Rachel first called 911 to report she had been shot, she reportedly said, "I've been shot. Someone broke in and shot me." The 19-year-old then gave the dispatcher her address before saying, "Please hurry." Then she told them, I'm bleeding. The dispatcher reportedly urged the teen to stay on the phone and asked Rachel, "Do you have any kind of clean cloth there that you can apply pressure to it? Is there anybody there with you?" Rachel told the dispatcher she was alone and whoever broke in and shot her had left.
Rachel's mother seeks answers in her daughter's cold case with a private investigator. Rachel's family started Rachel's Rescue in her honor, caring for animals in need. Cold case investigator Joe Kennedy shares insights, citing challenges in the investigation, such as unclear entry into the apartment and lack of signs of forced entry or struggle. He notes that no arrest has been made due to limited leads and unanswered questions.
But while the case has gone cold, her mother is now turning to a private investigator and hopes to get more answers. Her mother reportedly fostered over 100 children over the years, and Rachel was one of 9 she adopted. She reportedly had a passion for saving animals. In her honor, Rachel's family started Rachel's Rescue to take in animals and care for them to give them a forever home. I'm joined now by international cold case and homicide investigator Joe Kennedy to break down this case with me today. Now, Joe, thank you so much for joining me. Rachel Hansen was shot by an intruder inside her own apartment 2 years ago, but still no arrests in this case.
This is a case that would be, a tough case to investigate. First of all, we have to ask, how did this suspect gain entrance to the apartment, right?
Rachel's murder investigation lacks physical evidence like DNA, fingerprints, or eyewitness accounts. Neighborhood witnesses may hold the key, but a suspect's confession is often crucial. Statistics show 15% of murders are solved with physical evidence, 35% with witnesses, and 50% with a confession. What's missing in Rachel's case?
And as far as the investigation goes into the intruder and her murder, where do you think that the evidence may have lacked in this case? I know you had mentioned, the signs of whether or not there were signs of forced entry, but what other evidence do you think is lacking in the case to catch this killer?
Well, Elizabeth, there's only 3 ways to solve a murder, right? We have to have physical evidence like DNA, fingerprints. Eyewitnesses is the second way we solve them. But then lastly, we have to get the suspect to confess to us, right? So it's one of those 3 things. Only 15% of murders are solved with physical evidence. About 35% are solved with witnesses. And that leaves half of murder cases. We have to actually get the suspect to confess to us if we're going to solve that case.
Rachel's murder raises questions. Was it a chance encounter or a targeted act? Statistics show 9 out of 10 murders involve a personal relationship. Investigating Rachel's activities 48 hours before and after the murder is crucial. Her passion for training horses and potential future events leading to her demise are key areas to explore.
And do you think by chance, and obviously we don't know this at all, but do you think that there is this slight chance that maybe Rachel knew her killer?
Well, I will say this, that when we're looking at any kind of murder, regardless of the situation, 9 out of 10 murders, there's a personal relationship, right? There's a prior relationship that's in existence. A couple of things come to mind. She's a young lady, right? If I understand correctly, she's into training horses, right? And so one thing is so important with any murder case is victimology.
Rachel's single gunshot wound raises questions. Was it a planned murder or a crime of opportunity? My analysis suggests a planned break-in, not a premeditated murder. The perpetrator's personality traits and geographic proximity to the crime scene may hold clues. Criminals often leave behind physical evidence and personality markers, revealing control, anger, and escalation, which could help crack the case.
Do you have any thoughts about Rachel only being shot once with one single gunshot wound? Does that stand out to you at all?
Well, a single gunshot wound, and we don't know where she to kill somebody with a single gunshot. Sometimes we have to have a good shot to get a fatal wound. So, how did the perpetrator, was he aware of that? Was not a planned murder. What this is a planned break-in. It's a planned robbery.
Tipsters can help crack the case, but investigators must prioritize evidence-based leads. Joe Kennedy stresses the importance of re-examining all evidence and witness interviews to uncover overlooked clues. A fresh approach can solve any case. Meanwhile, Silent Witness offers a $7,000 reward for information leading to a breakthrough.
How important are tipsters going to be in cracking this case as well?
Yeah, so you know, Crime Stoppers or crime scene tips, they are valuable, but we have to be careful that they don't hijack the investigation, right? What we want to do is do an evidence-based investigation instead of chase suspects that had nothing to do with it. So we need to focus on the evidence at that scene first.
Right. Well, Joe Kennedy, I really appreciate your time today with us and speaking more about this case. Before we sign you off, is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, I want to say that, you know, all cases are solvable, right? And, you know, what they need to do from a cold case perspective is just to start over, right? That's what it's going to take. We're starting from ground zero.
All right, Joe Kennedy, again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. God bless you.